strong winds raged in central Nebraska, which eventually caused a dust storm. The maximum wind gusts were 28 meters per second. Winds of this magnitude overturned trucks on the highway. The media noted that the wind knocked down 5 trucks with trailers on the local highway. Literally an hour later, a dust storm hit the state. It caused poor visibility on the roads. Such windy conditions will continue into Saturday mornings. The authorities have already issued an appropriate weather warning, as well as notified local residents and asked them to refrain from traveling by private vehicle if possible in order to avoid getting into unforeseen situations. At the moment, as a result of the violence of the elements, no victims have been noted. Iraq was covered by a powerful dust storm, and it covered a fairly vast territory. Bad weather was noted in the border town of Al-Qaim, which was located 400 kilometers northwest of Baghdad near the Syrian border along the Euphrates River. The dust storm also covered the city of Mosul in northern Iraq, as well as Dohuk, Erbil, Kirkuk. Most of the north and northeast of Iraq was at the mercy of this element. In the regions, poor visibility was observed, which in some places did not exceed 10 meters. Red landscapes were observed in many cities. Bad weather has prompted health and safety authorities to warn citizens to be careful on the roads and wear masks outside. Canada also decided to surprise today. A dust tornado was noted in the province of Alberta. This is a very rare weather event in Canada. The last time a tornado was recorded was in 2016. This phenomenon looks intimidating, but is less dangerous than other tornadoes and powerful tornadoes that grow from thunderstorm cells. This event lasted less than a minute, then the tornado disappeared into the air. Several local residents managed to capture it and share it on the internet. The consequences of its passage were not noted. The Turkish city of Sirnak in the province of Sirnak was covered by a dust storm. According to local media, visibility dropped to 100 meters. Such weather conditions in Turia began to be observed since yesterday evening. Yesterday afternoon, a strong wind was blowing with gusts of up to 25 meters per second. This strong wind managed to rip off several roofs from houses, and in the late afternoon, a dust storm broke out. The most massive storm covered the city of Sirnak, but there were also reports that the city of Mardin also suffered from it. The authorities have already warned local residents suffering from respiratory diseases to temporarily refrain from moving around the streets of the city. In case of such a need, be sure to wear special masks. In Colombia over the past day there have been 10 landslides and 2 mudflows. According to the latest information, 12 people were killed, 10 were missing and 5 were injured. All these events took place in the municipality of Abriaqui, Department of Antioquia. Local authorities note that such activity of soil movement in this city will not be remembered. In turn, the media reported that heavy rains and floods affected the entire east and southwest of Antioquia, as well as the Yoruba region, in connection with which 117 municipalities of the department were put on high alert, and a red weather alert was announced. In many municipalities, local residents are being evacuated. The rains do not stop. The situation in many regions is critical. In the Indian state of Kerala, strong winds with rain were noted, with wind gusts reaching 30 meters per second. Quite a strong wind naturally left behind the destruction of the infrastructure. The Indian Meteorological Department said that such weather conditions will be observed in the state until Saturday. Heavy rain is expected with the possibility of up to 130 millimeters of precipitation. Authorities have already evacuated about 300 people to temporary shelters. During the coming week, the storm will cause more flooding, and destructive winds are also predicted in the western and northern parts of India. Bad weather can reach Pakistan. In some places, about 50 millimeters of rain fell in 24 hours. Houses were destroyed by the wind. Roofs were torn off and trees were knocked down. 4 people received moderate injuries. Heavy rainfall continues in many areas of New South Wales, including areas around Greater Sydney, causing flooding. For the second day, the authorities are carrying out activities to evacuate local residents. According to the Australian Meteorological Bureau, 170 millimeters of rain fell in Sydney in 24 hours. The average rainfall for April in the city is about 120 millimeters. Heavy rain caused rivers to rise and overflow their banks. The flood level in some places again reached 1.5 meters. The State Emergency Service reported that in 10 hours, rescuers carried out 600 operations on the water, including operations using a helicopter. Local media reported that 1,500 residents of the Greater Sydney area have evacuated their homes, some for the third time in 4 weeks. While spring is slowly coming to central Russia, snowfalls continue in the north. Over the past day, snowdrifts have piled up, which reach a height of 40 centimeters. Many waking up this morning were surprised by the snowfall. There were difficulties in traffic on the roads. In Nizhnevartovsk, for example, the storm was so strong that it covered a doghouse in one of the yards. The video from the place where the dog was rescued immediately went viral on local and federal Publix and Telegram channels. The footage shows how the owner, armed with a shovel, saves his pet from snow captivity. As forecasters predicted 3 days ago, a strong storm is approaching the region, as well as snowfall. Their predictions were completely justified. The Department of Disaster and Mitigation in Thailand reports that more than 20,000 households have been affected by floods in the southern provinces in the past few days. The heavy rains that have been falling in these regions since 5 have caused destruction and flooding in the provinces of Chumphon, Nakhon, Narathiwat, and Surat Thani. A total of 21,669 households, approximately 108,345 people, were affected. The most affected province was Nakhon with 360 villages in 12 districts. In the 24 hours before April 6, 180 millimeters of rain fell in the city, and the next day 120 millimeters. Flood levels have risen to 1 meter or more. There have been no reports of injuries, deaths or missing among the local population so far. In December, some parts of Africa received the heaviest rains on record. Due to temperature anomalies and heavy rains, the largest invasion of brown locust began on the continent. Insects multiply rapidly and migrate to areas that have never encountered them. The invasion started in September and has already broken the record for several decades. Harvests in Africa are under threat. Even chemicals do not help to cope with locusts. The Western Cape is fighting an uphill battle to contain several swarms of locusts as infestations continue to destroy crops and put the local agricultural industry at risk. Thank you for watching the video. Thanks for supporting the channel. Good wind and weather.